satisfied with your victory over Cody, even though it came at the hands of MJF throwing the towel?
He was going to give up anyway, so that's a pretty stupid question. Of course I'm satisfied because I'm still the champion.
Would you?
I don't want this to be stuck on the fact that MJF threw a towel in the ring, because if you saw what happened, Cody was beat up, bleeding all over the fucking place. Plus, he was so tied up like a pretzel, there was no escape. So throw the towel in, don't throw the towel in, but don't diminish the victory that Chris Jericho had over Cody Rhodes tonight.
People are going to obviously think that MJF might join the Inner Circle. Is there room for more people? Would you entertain another member of the Inner Circle?
There's always room for more, as long as they're as good as all the guys in my Inner Circle. MJF would be a possible candidate, whether the events happen tonight or not. So we're always looking for good members, because we're going to take over. Like I said, we're taking control of AEW.
So after a victory today, it's obviously time to celebrate. What is the bubbly selection for tonight?
Plenty of bubbly. I went for the better tasting bubbly that Sammy Guevara suggested. So some big bubbly announcements coming up very soon as well.
Who do you sense is going to be your next opponent?
It's hard to say, because, I mean, once again, I don't want to diminish the match that happened tonight. It was a classic match. Cody was a great performer. It was one of the best matches I've ever had in my career, and one of the best matches in AEW's existence. So this is not the time to sit down and think about other contenders. This is a night to celebrate and appreciate the hard work that I did. Basically single-handedly beating Cody Rhodes and single-handedly putting AEW on the map, so you're welcome for that.
Chris, what did you say to Dean Malenko?
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where as soon as I heard Malenko was one of the judges, one of the greatest feuds in WCW history was Malenko and Jericho, 98, 97. We had a famous match here in this very arena, the Royal Farms Arena. I think it was called the Mariner Center or something, where we ended up fighting into the street and almost got hit by a car for real. So I just said to him, you know, you better give me a good grade and give me a good vote. When he stood up, I said, you know, you better watch it. And I don't remember what I said. You can go back and see, but just the fact that he was there really kind of rubbed me the wrong way and pissed me off. Made me remember a lot of bad feelings I had for Malenko from 20 years ago. Definitely one of the greatest feuds of my career for sure.
Chris, how much inspiration did you take from the legend Soul Train Jones?
So I've known Soul Train since I was 12, and he's always been a guy that you know, you go to for inspiration here and there. Take him to Olive Garden and listen to his many years of wise experience coming through. But you heard what he said. He doesn't know what a goat is because he's not a farmer, but he knows that I'm the greatest of all time. So I don't think that's the last we're going to see of Soul Train Jones here in AEW.
We asked Cody on yesterday about the Wednesday Night Wars, the idea that you knew that WWE were going to counter somehow when you guys announced Dynamite. You guys have won the ratings for 6 weeks in a row. Cody had said it's important for you guys not to be reactionary. You were in the Monday Night Wars before. How do you feel about the idea of going head to head, being reactionary, not? Like, how do you feel about you've won 6 weeks in a row? What's the strategy going forward for you?
Well, I mean, once again, this is not a war that we started. It's not a war that we asked for, but we don't care who you put up against us. You could put the Super Bowl, the World Cup, you could resurrect John and George and do a Beatles reunion. We can't control that. All we can do is continue to have great shows and organic shows. This is not prefabricated. There's not scripts being written and approvals being made and all this other stuff. I think that's kind of showing in AEW's product. That's why the segments and the promos and the backstage stuff and the fights have been been amazing, because it's been real. So, am I surprised that we're winning? Of course not. I knew we'd win. Our star power crushes NXT star power, and exactly what I knew was going to happen. That NXT, what made it cool before was a standalone thing. Now it's just another WWE show. It's like 2009 ECW. So good for them. God bless them. And I'm sure at some point, Roman Reigns will be on NXT now, and Hulk Hogan will return to a TV studio for the first time since 1981 in Memphis. That's fine. All we're going to do is continue to worry about ourselves, concentrate on our storylines and our matches and our characters and building stars. If you look for where we started 6 weeks ago, we now have MJF, one of the hottest heels. Darby Allin has shown what he can do. Scorpio Sky. How about the Inner Circle? Sammy Guevara, definitely the surprise standout. Jake Hager, we've completely reinvented him to where where everyone's scared of him. That's the real guy. That's in 6 weeks. Imagine what's going to happen 6 months from now. Especially with the guys that I work with, because everything I touch turns to gold. I got the Midas touch, man.
Chris, have you had a chance to look at the ranking system, and do you feel like it might give you a championship advantage knowing well in advance? who
Well,
you're
I'll
gonna be
tell you,
facing?
I'm glad that you asked that. You know, I'd almost think that you're a plant, except for I have no idea who the hell you are. I think that the rankings for the tag team division is a bunch of shit because Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho are undefeated as a tag team, and we're not even in the top 5. So here's what I'm going to do with the Inner Circle being as hot as we are. Le Champion with the AEW title around my gorgeous shoulders again. I think it's time for us to go further. I think the Inner Circle could win the tag team titles. I think the Inner Circle could win those bronze medals. I think the Inner Circle could win the women's championship. I don't care. Is there a little person championship? I'll take them on for that too. So this Wednesday at AEW Dynamite, Sammy Guevara, myself, the Inner Circle will challenge SCU for the AEW Tag Team Championships. And we're going to walk out of there. I'll be le double champion. That's French for double champion.
Speaking of women, which women would you like
Dummy.
in the inner circle?
Sorry?
Speaking of women, which women would you like to be in the inner circle?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of great ones. I mean, you see Nyla Rose just beating the crap out of everybody. I love Jamie Hayter. We saw her last week for the first or second time. I think she's tremendous as well. There's quite a few. Priestley's a little bit vicious. To become a member of the Inner Circle, it's not something that we really choose and control. It just happens organically. That's how we started this group. It was my vision to bring in 5 killers, street thugs, ruffians, and if there's a woman out there who's as dirty and as mean as Santana Ortiz, as sexy as Sammy Guevara, it's not possible, and as tough as Jake Hager, and as genius as Le Champion, then we'll bring her in.
How do you feel about comparisons between the Inner Circle and the NWO?
NWO was 22 years ago. The difference is this. NWO was comprised, the original NWO, the real NWO, was comprised of 3 legit main event superstars. Guys who had main evented WrestleMania. Inner Circle is based around my genius and my ideas, and already the other 4 members have become bigger stars than they ever were anywhere else. So that's the difference. We're building the Inner Circle. Right off the bat in week 1, we had the hottest faction possibly in the history of the business, and people didn't even know who these guys were. Like I said, now they know who they all are, and give us another 6 weeks and another month and then 2 months and 3 months and 4 months. There's no doubt in my mind we'll go down as the greatest faction in wrestling history. Never mind the 4 Horsemen or the NWO or DX or Los Boricuas or you name it, whoever. We'll be better. We're the motorcycle guys.
COA.
What?
DOA.
DOA. Better than those guys.
Okay.
Better than those assholes.
You
So
give the
say
crowd
you're
the.
You say you're concentrated in AEW on the talent here, but you've got another big match on the horizon. What would you say to the critics who say that your focus is split?
What's the other big match?
New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Oh, Tanahashi. My focus isn't split, but the January 5th is a long time from now. Today's November 9th. I had one of the biggest matches of my career, and I came out on top. I still have Wednesday nights until January 5th to worry about what I'm doing. Tanahashi, I've already got him in the bag. If you saw the challenge video that I did, it's something that the people in New Japan are scared of me. They're scared of the Painmaker, they're scared of Chris Jericho, and they play it off like they don't really care, but they do. I mean, this is going to be Tanahashi, the end of an illustrious career, to the hands of the Painmaker. So I'll tell you what, January 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, I'll be concentrating on nothing but Tanahashi, but for right now, I just beat Cody. I'm the top guy in the entire world, the biggest wrestler, the most proficient wrestler, the biggest celebrity in the business today. So I'm going to enjoy it, and no less on my birthday, with a whole faction of Buble and my lovely wife to come with me. I'll worry about Tanahashi when the time comes, but tonight is party time.
You give the fans the 1-finger salute tonight.
Nice tie.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Nice belt.
I'll give you the 1-finger salute. Don't watch it.
So the question is, lively crowd, in it for the whole show. Can
Yes.
you talk a little bit about the difference between performing in front of this crowd and some other crowds that you performed in the past that may not be quite as lively?
Well, I mean, the thing is, once again, this is still kind of the honeymoon period of AEW, and some crowds are just hotter than others. The difference for ours is, I've been using this analogy quite a bit. I got into Metallica in summer of '84, and they became my band. I grew up with Metallica, and ever since then, I feel like I'm part of the band because I was there from the beginning. This is the first time in the history of the business where a wrestling company is starting at the highest of levels in this generation. I mean, WWE started in the 40s, NWA started in the 1890s or whenever it did. ECW started in a high school gym. This started, our very first official show was at a sold-out Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. with 14,000 people on one of the biggest networks in the world. So I think everybody feels like we're a part of something special here with AEW. The crowds have been great. Even Pittsburgh, one of the most famous dead crowds in WWE land, they were great for AEW. Hopefully that continues. I think because people are excited about what's going on and they realize this is really good. And even when you kind of get through the pomp and circumstance of this brand new company, the bottom line is the company's kicking ass. The company's good with a lot of amazing, amazing performers. So that makes people more excited to be there, and makes people. We've received quite a few mulligans as a result of it. But as we continue to move forward and tighten up the issues that we're having, get rid of the dead weight, get better at the things we're doing good, and pick up the slack and things we're doing bad, I think we're going to keep entertaining the crowds, enamoring them, because like I said, they feel like they're part of something special, and that's why they're so excited.
Chris, when you joined
Excuse me, last question.
So Chris, when you joined AEW, you said publicly, you were taking a risk, leaving WWE, leaving all the stuff you've done before, trying a new venture. We're now 11 months in, you're world champion. There must be a vindication for you that you took this risk and now it's paying off for you. Talk a little bit about where you feel you are now, working with younger guys and being in this new environment.
I mean, I think once again, it's not a tagline or a storyline when I say that AEW as a whole, the office, the talent, and the fans owe Chris Jericho a thank you for it being in existence, because I think when Jericho signed the contract, it made AEW legit. Everyone got paid more. Suddenly there's a lot more excitement about the business. AEW becomes the cool company. So I think it was a little bit of a risk, but where I was in my career, I wasn't willing to go back to WWE, which I've been there for 19 years. I know what to expect. It's a great company. It's a great system. But when when Kevin Owens and Jericho had the best story of 2016, 17, and we ended up in the second match in WrestleMania, I knew there's nothing I can do that's going to be better than this, and this is where we land. It's time to split. And so when I came to AEW, suddenly, like you said, here we are. Jericho's segments are the best on the show. Jericho's the champion, having the best match on the pay-per-view, no matter what's going on. So this is where I should be. This is where I want to be. And as I see AEW grow, specifically on my back, it's also very vindicating to see other stars coming out. People didn't know who the Young Bucks were. They hadn't seen Cody on TV in 8 years, 5 years, whatever it was. And now suddenly people are going, wow, yeah, Jericho's great, but what about Cody? What about the Young Bucks? Kenny Omega? Moxley's better than he's ever been. And then you got MJF and Darby Allin, and like I said, all of these guys, Jungle Boy, SCU, Scorpio Sky, name after name after name, that people are enjoying and getting into because of Chris Jericho. So I did, at the risk of sounding egotistical, which I don't care, I changed the entire wrestling business when I joined AEW. So that is a pat on my back. And to see us continue to win and beat NXT, or more importantly, win the night in the demo that's so important for any show, that's very, very vindicating for me, and it's very exciting for the future of AEW and for Chris Jericho.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
What's that?
Have you ever been slapped by an opponent's mother?
I slapped your mom.
Yeah.